That's right, here are the top 5 suburbs around Austin that everybody's talking about, but the smart buyers are eyeing this particular suburb that nobody's talking about, but it might be the best value in the entire metro. Today we're gonna be talking about housing prices, commute time, and many more things that you need to know when it comes to buying your home here in the Austin area. And at the end of the video, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to leave a comment below and tell me which suburb fits your lifestyle the best. And we're gonna get started right now with number 1 in no particular order. None of these suburbs are better than the other one, but remember, you tell me in the comments below. But number 1, we're gonna start out with Round Rock, Texas. Probably the most talked about suburb in the entire Central Texas, Austin metro area. And of course, let's get right into the price. The median home price for Round Rock, Texas is $425,000. Give or take, it could be a little bit higher, a little bit lower than that, but right around $425,000. Now, keep in mind that you can definitely find housing lower than that. Give you an example, there are particular suburbs in Round Rock that you can find easily for a resale home right around $330,000, $340,000. Let's say 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 1,400 square feet, give or take. Probably built in the mid 1990s, give or take, maybe late 1990s. So yes, the median home price might be $425,000, but if you're looking for a lower price point, you can definitely find that. And of course, you can go higher than that, 600, 700, 800s. So that is the housing price. Now, commute time. Where are we located when it comes to Round Rock on the map? Let's put a map here on the screen for you guys. We are anywhere from 20 to 35 minutes from downtown Austin, straight north, down I-35 and down Mopac. You have Round Rock. Now, to give you an example, we used to live in Round Rock, and it would take us from our house, from our door, to downtown Austin, it would take us 22 minutes without traffic, of course. Now that could change with traffic. At the most, with traffic, it would take us maybe 38 minutes. No accidents, no nothing, just your regular traffic, about 38 minutes. So that is the beauty of Round Rock, is that it offers the accessibility to Austin and everything that Austin has to offer, like the great restaurants, the foodie vibes, the different events that they have, like ACL, South by Southwest, the comedy shows, Pecan Festival, the Bats, I mean, you name it, everything that Austin has to offer. It seems like a brand new restaurant is always popping up. That you have in Round Rock, that accessibility, but then you also have the suburban lifestyle, a little bit quieter, a little bit slower, you know, let's say more families around, things like that, okay? So that is the beauty about living in Round Rock. Other things to mention in Round Rock, very important, you have the Dell Technologies headquarters, which has been here since the early 1990s. And it is one of the major employers in Round Rock. So that gives you a stable base for employment. Tons of jobs in the area thanks to the Dell Technology headquarters. And then of course, just right next door or very nearby, you have Apple, you have Samsung, and you have many other tech companies around the area. So if you live in Round Rock, you can easily commute to these campuses and still take advantage of everything that Round Rock has to offer. Now, a lot of you that reach out here on YouTube, whether you shoot me a text or give me a phone call or schedule a Zoom, you ask about Round Rock for probably the number 1 reason that I'm about to mention, which is the school districts. Round Rock is well known for very, very highly ranked school district as a whole. Now, when I give you this ranking, I basically looked at 2 sources, texasschools.gov and niche.com, and they rank Round Rock ISD as a whole as a B grade, B as in boy. Now, keep in mind that there could be schools that are higher ranked than that or lower ranked than that, whether it's the high school, elementary, and middle school. But as a whole, it is ranked as a B. So therefore, because it has a very highly ranked school district, tons of amenities, easy access to Austin, it makes it a very attractive suburb. Now, when it comes to amenities, which I'm sure you're wondering, well, what is there to do? What is the lifestyle like? Well, just to name a few, you have the Kalahari Resort, Dell Diamond baseball field. You have the Old Settlers Park, beautiful, beautiful park with tons of amenities. And then now you have a brand new, let's say, mixed-use development with commercial, residential, retail, walkable stores and restaurants called The District. It is a 65-acre planned development that it's coming essentially, if you're looking at a map, you have I-35 and Toll Road 45, and it is on the southeast corner. Don't test me on it, but it already broke ground. So it hasn't started construction, and this is gonna be a great amenity to have. Now, just like anything around the area, anytime that a new commercial development comes to any of these suburbs, people are saying, oh, this is the next Domain. This is gonna be just like the Domain. Time will tell. I don't know if it'll be like that. The Domain is well known around the entire state and sometimes even country. And I just don't see that, right? But for Round Rock residents and people that live nearby, this is great. You may not have to go into the Domain, or you may not have to go into downtown. But time will tell. We'll see what stores, what restaurants it'll have. Another hidden gem in Round Rock that a lot of people don't talk about is the downtown Round Rock. You have nice restaurants, coffee shops, antique shops here and there. Of course, you have the famous Round Rock donuts, which I'm not a huge fan of donuts, but a lot of people love them. But that is just another attraction, another amenity to have. And keep in mind that when I mentioned earlier, Kalahari, that is the largest indoor water park in the entire nation. It has a hotel, it has a convention center, restaurants, so tons of amenities. So who is Round Rock for? So if you were to ask yourself and determine, okay, is Round Rock for me? So if I had to narrow it down, which is very tough, right? Because all these suburbs are gonna offer something for everybody. But I would say that Round Rock as a whole, it is definitely for families, very family oriented, very family friendly, of course, because it has highly ranked school districts like I mentioned before. Definitely for professionals because you have a strong job base. And then you have the combination of those wanting highly ranked school districts and then the easy access to downtown Austin. Okay, so that's who I would suggest this suburb for. And very well established, tons of parks, and like I mentioned before, very family friendly. On to the second suburb, you're gonna make your way northwest to west of Round Rock, Texas, and we're gonna find Cedar Park, Texas. That's our second one here on the list. Also very well established, just along with Round Rock, it kind of came up at the same time. A lot of people that you reach out here on YouTube, you ask about this particular suburb because again, of the highly ranked school district. As a matter of fact, it has a better ranking than Round Rock according to TexasSchools.gov and niche.com. It has an A+ grade, which is amazing. Now keep in mind, the Cedar Park School District also shares with Leander ISD, or it is part of Leander ISD. And of course, we'll be talking about Leander here coming up, but just keep in mind that when you're choosing your neighborhood or your community, which we can help you with, make sure that you're looking, let's say for that ISD in particular, which is ranked as an A+. Now, when it comes to the median home price in Cedar Park, we're gonna come up quite a bit, guys. We're right around $632,000, so that's almost $200,000 in price difference. Now, what makes Cedar Park more expensive? Typically, it's just the area. You're hugging the hill country a little bit more, so it tends to be a little bit more attractive. Of course, having a higher ranking school district also brings up the prices as well. As far as amenities, they're about the same. You have the famous Lakeline Mall, which is one of the last old school malls, right? Indoor type style malls, which, my fiance and I just went there and it feels a little bit empty compared to, even just 15 years ago, which I used to go there. And there's less stores more that every time we go. We don't recognize some of the stores, so it's just kind of odd to see. And then, in the parking lots, some of the landscaping and stuff like that, they're letting go of that, or it just doesn't look as nice. But you have that amenity there. One of the most exciting ones, which I think it's a little bit overrated in my opinion, but you have Pop Stroke coming to Cedar Park, which is great for you and the family. Or if you're a young couple, it's just a great date night to have. So essentially, it's a facility or a new attraction, a new amenity where you can do putt-putt, you can drink, and you can eat. Really cool. This is actually created by Tiger Woods, the famous golfer, in case you don't know. The greatest golfer of all time, in my opinion. But yeah, that is an amenity that's coming there, and probably the most exciting one coming to the area, which a lot of people have been talking about for a while, is Nebraska Furniture Mart. If you don't know about Nebraska, this is the largest furniture store in the entire country. They have one in Dallas, not as far as I know. I know they have one in Dallas and then one here. I don't know where the other one is. I'm assuming in Nebraska maybe. But just to give you some numbers, the entire facility or building is gonna be 1.3 million square feet store. 1.3 million square feet. That's insane. It is sitting on 117 acre lot or space or land. And it is also gonna have a convention center and a hotel with a 297 room full service hotel. So another amenity coming to the area. If you love to shop and you love to just window shop, if you don't really want to spend the money to buy this furniture, this is a gigantic store. I've gone to the one in Dallas and it is insane how big this thing is. And of course, when a big store like this comes to the area, it's gonna bring more development as well. So those are the two exciting developments coming there. Now, going back to who is Cedar Park for, you know, who does it appeal to? I would say it is definitely for buyers prioritizing schools, convenience, and a well-established suburb. Again, just like Round Rock, very similar. They're both very, very similar. It's just one of those that you kind of have to see for yourself and see which one you like best. Another amenity to mention in Cedar Park is the Brushy Creek Park, which extends, it has a trail that goes all the way from kind of the middle part of Cedar Park, and it can extend all the way into Round Rock. Mileage wise, it's probably about 13 miles, I would say. Don't quote me on it. I didn't look it up before the video, but it is definitely a great amenity to have where you can walk, bike, or jog if you want to. So as a whole, Cedar Park is definitely well established. I would say that it doesn't have as many amenities as Round Rock, but you still have easy access to downtown Austin. And then of course, probably the most important is the highly ranked school districts. Okay, on to the next one. We're just gonna make our way just north of Cedar Park, and we're gonna stop in Leander, Texas. You guys may have heard of Leander before. It has been ranked one of the fastest growing suburbs many years in the past. I think in 2015, 2016, it was the fastest growing suburb in the entire nation, and it continues to explode in growth. I would say this is more of a newer suburb when you compare it to Round Rock and Cedar Park that I mentioned before. You have more newer homes, more newer developments. The median home price comes down a little bit. We're right around $410,000. When it comes to the commute, so keep this in mind, it just depends where you are in Leander, but on average, especially if you don't take the 183 toll road, which just got expanded all the way into Liberty Hill. It literally goes from Liberty Hill, which is just north of Leander, all the way down to the airport, essentially. That's one option to get to downtown or to get to the airport. You then can take that, or you can take, just Mopac down, right? But give or take, on average, you're looking at anywhere from 45 minutes to 55 minutes from Leander. It just depends where you're at. 45 to 55 minutes, I would say. Now, if you're gonna live in Leander, who is it for? This is pretty spot on. It's typically families wanting new construction, newer homes, newer developments, because Leander just continues to explode with growth, including the Northline District, which honestly, I haven't seen much movement yet. They developed the townhomes and the residential units, the multifamily units, but I haven't seen any retail pop up or any other commercial type development there. But as far as who it's for, right? So you have a median home price of $410,000. So it is definitely families looking for newer construction, more affordability, right? Because you can definitely find homes in the mid to high 300,000s if that is what you're looking for. And then the upside of the future growth, because anywhere you turn, they're building something new. There's like this little commercial development that just popped up that's gonna have the Estancia Brazilian Steakhouse, which is great, really nice restaurant coming to the area. And then of course you have Northline, you have the Nebraska Furniture just right down the road. It is essentially on the border between Leander and Cedar Park. So it just continues to grow and it continues to grow. Of course, for a while there, we thought we were gonna get Leander Springs, which is essentially, it was gonna be again, another amenity with a crystal lagoon and hotel and retail mixed use, but that got scratched out. That's not gonna happen anymore. But definitely Leander, one of the things that makes it really attractive is the highly ranked school districts, right? As a whole, in this area, Leander has a B rating, which again, it is among the top ones. According to the rankings, whether it's texasschools.gov or niche.com, and remember to do your own due diligence. But as a whole, I would say that it definitely attracts families that are looking for newer construction, highly ranked school districts, and then the upside that it has, that it's gonna continue to grow while the prices are lower. I have actually helped several young families in this area because they wanted a highly ranked school district and the fact that they have more newer homes and newer communities. So if you have any questions about this particular district, where these new communities are, where the lower prices, or for example, there's a community in Leander that actually has 1 acre lots. Price points for those are anywhere from $700,000 all the way up into the millions, but you get a 1 acre lot in Leander, Texas. That's unreal to think about. In Leander, super close to, for the most part, to everything. But the fact that you can get that much space in Leander right now, which in 10, 15 years, that's gonna be unheard of, definitely something to keep in mind. We can help you with that, but you have to reach out to the number, the email, or schedule a Zoom. And remember, coming up, you have to stay tuned for the suburb that a lot of people find the best value in the entire metro, and that's coming up next. Okay, before we talk about that suburb that a lot of smart buyers are considering because it's probably the best value in the entire metro, we're gonna talk about one of my favorite suburbs around the entire area, which is Georgetown, Texas. I definitely, personal opinion, personal choice, I can definitely see my family moving out there. My fiance and I, we're gonna get married this year, have a family, and we can definitely see ourselves living in Georgetown eventually down the road. But in fact, just to give you an example of what you can find in Georgetown, we just helped a family this year that found me here on YouTube, just like you did, find their dream estate, their dream home. And this is what you can find in Georgetown. Amazing. They found a 7.5 acre property with a 2,300 square feet house, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath. They're essentially gonna remodel the entire thing. We found a great price, guys. An amazing price. It was right around $1.25 million, 7.6 acres. The beautiful thing about this is that you're right off of Highway 29, and then you have easy access to the different HEBs, but you feel isolated. It's super quiet because of course you're on 7.6 acres, and this entire community offers that. And you're almost essentially hugging Lake Georgetown, which is one of my favorite amenities in Georgetown itself. But let's get back to reality. The median home price in Georgetown is essentially almost the same as Round Rock, $425,000. So you can definitely find homes just right under that. Just like I mentioned right now, you can definitely find homes well over that if you're looking for that kind of property with acreage and space. Now, as far as the commute, this is probably the largest commute that you're gonna find, especially if we're talking about living north of the lake, for example, which you have beautiful communities on that side of the lake, which I actually made a video recently about probably the best value in Georgetown. Make sure to check out that video. I'll put it at the end here or I'll link it down below. But you can find Weston homes. You've heard of Weston the builder. You can definitely find homes in the $400,000 range. Insane to think about. Weston, I made videos about this before with the staircase, the dramatic staircase, and the rotunda in the ceiling, stuff like that. You can find it here in Georgetown. But when it comes to the commute, especially for that community, about 33 miles from downtown Austin, give or take. So you're looking at anywhere from 45 minutes to 55 minutes. But to be completely honest with you guys, it's gonna be closer to an hour, especially during the rush hour, maybe even more, to the airport, to downtown Austin. So when you live in Georgetown, it honestly has its own vibe because, and I think part of this is because you're so far, I mean, not so far away, you're only 33 miles from Austin, but you're far enough to where it's its own ecosystem, right? It's its own vibe, its own lifestyle, right? So if you're looking for this, I would say that this is definitely for buyers that are looking for a mix of a history, right? A historic downtown charm district, which is the downtown square, with a master plan community type homes and plenty of growth coming to the area. Tons of nature around the area, especially Lake Georgetown or the San Gabriel River cutting across east to west. That is definitely the type of buyer that would be looking for this. Very family friendly. Also, you have a strong retired community in this area, especially when we're talking about Sun City, one of the largest master plan communities for retirees. But as a whole, it has definitely become a destination for younger families or established families that are looking for that feel. Now, when it comes to the school district, and remember, like I mentioned before, keep in mind that this is the district as a whole, right? So certain schools may have a higher ranking, but as a whole, according to texasschools.gov and niche.com, you have a rating of a C. So lower than Round Rock, Cedar Park, and Leander. It is improving. They're actually building a brand new high school, which looks beautiful, just north of the town. I would say northwest of the town, really close to Lake Georgetown, actually. But it is definitely a school district that is improving as more and more people are coming to the area. Some of the amenities to mention. My favorite amenity and one of the reasons why I want to move to this area. In fact, we just went on a date night, my fiance and I, because we hadn't been here in a while. In my opinion, the best downtown district, so to speak, in the entire suburb Austin area, okay? Don't come at me, but you know I'm telling the truth. The historic Georgetown Square is by far the best one, in my opinion. Awesome atmosphere. So when we went, it had been a while since we went out there, and you could see families on the lawn in front of the downtown square, the historic courthouse, families playing, kids playing. You can actually, if you want to grab a beer or a glass of wine from, one of the many options around the downtown, you can walk around holding your beer. No issues there. We went to a restaurant, and I can't remember the name right now, but amazing atmosphere. I mean, we really loved it. We were sitting outside. Of course, the weather is super nice right now in the evening, but they have live music. These three guys, one was playing the cello, one was playing the saxophone, and then the other one was playing some sort of not a piano, but we were just sitting under a tree, beautiful weather, amazing music, and great food. And that is really what Georgetown has to offer. So again, if you're looking to live here, you don't have that easy access to Austin, but you have everything that you need for you and the family in Georgetown itself. And it's by far, it has the best downtown area out of all these suburbs that I'm gonna mention today. On to number 5 on the list, and remember to stay tuned for that bonus one. You do not wanna miss the value of this one and what it has to offer. But on to number 5, we have Pflugerville, Texas. How do you spell Pflugerville? The P is silent, guys. It's not P Pflugerville. It is, I just spit all over the camera. It is PFLU, Pflugerville, Texas. Famous around the area. A lot of value as well, just like the last one that I'm gonna mention to you guys. But the median home price in this area is actually $384,000. And here's a little secret. Last week, I helped a young lady buying her first home. And can you guess what the price was? Actually, you're not gonna believe this price. In Pflugerville, Texas, and of course, Julio, what's the catch? But just hear me out for a second, and especially the location. Okay, Julio, I'll get to it. So the price of this home for this young lady was $275,000, guys. In Pflugerville, which you're about 18 miles from downtown Austin, 25 to 35 minutes from downtown Austin, depending on the traffic, of course, but that's how far you are from downtown Austin. She is within 15 minutes. Now, I'm not exaggerating, within 15 minutes from a brand new H-E-B, a Costco, a Target, the movies, the ice cream shop, Lake Pflugerville. If she had any kids, you have a water park, all within 15 minutes. And she paid for this house $275,000. Now, what's the catch? Which I don't really see as a catch, but you know that I try to give you all the information that I can up front. The one thing that it has, but I'm gonna share with you how much she's paying monthly, so keep that in mind. It has a PID, P-I-D, which is essentially part of your property taxes. It is $240 per month added on, right? So taxes, I think, come out to about $700 to $800 per month, but her payment, and this is including that PID, the $240 per month, the regular city, county taxes, her payment with 10% down, she's putting 10% down on a $275,000 house, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. I think it's right around 1,700 square feet, brand new. Her payment is going to be $2,400 a month. Yep, that's right. Her very first home, $2,400 a month. Now, if you don't have 10%, let's say you have 5% or 3.5%, if this is your first home, you can definitely be right around $2,500, $2,600 a month, because her interest rate fixed for 30 years, guys, was 4.8%. That's what we were able to find her. And we were able to negotiate the fridge, washer and dryer, everything. She doesn't have to buy anything except for her furniture. That's it. But this is an amazing deal in Pflugerville. Again, the median home price was $384,000. We found her a brand new home for $275,000. For you people in the back, $275,000. So, anyways, commute time. Like I mentioned before, 18 miles from downtown Austin. You can tell how excited I get about that deal in particular, because she was looking for her first home. But anyways, 18 miles from downtown Austin, give or take 25 to 35 minutes. Again, it just depends on the traffic. But when it comes to the school districts in Pflugerville, and this is a great example of the entire ranking being lower than certain schools, okay? So for example, according to niche.com and texasschools.gov, it has a ranking of a C, okay? But there is particular schools that have a higher ranking. So keep that in mind. So it just depends where you want to live and which school districts you want to send your kids to. But as a whole, it has a ranking of a C. Now, where is most of the development happening, or what is Pflugerville like? So this is definitely a suburb for people that are looking for value, like I just mentioned, right? You have major employers like Samsung is here. The tech-rich area also has Amazon there that employs a lot of people. And then of course you have, downtown Austin nearby, but then you also have the Apple campus nearby, very close. Dell is just north of you guys. So around the area, you have a solid base for employees. And as a whole, it is growing more on the east side of town, okay? So when we're talking about closer to 130, so if you're looking at a map, you have I-35, and then east of that, you have Toll Road 130, and that is where most of the growth is happening. Around that area is where she found that house for $275,000, guys. Unreal. And that's where you find your Costco, brand new H-E-B, Lake Pflugerville, which is a great amenity for you and the family. So as a whole, not a ton of amenities in Pflugerville, I'll be honest. It has a little downtown district, not the most attractive per se, or not the one that it has the most amenities, but good news, they're building a brand new downtown district called East Pflugerville, or Pflugerville East, where they're gonna have a community center, a rec center, a city hall. I think it's about 30 acres in size, maybe a little bit bigger. And this is gonna be great for Pflugerville, just making Pflugerville a little bit more attractive. It shows that the city is willing to invest in its residents and in its community. But as a whole, this is definitely a suburb to consider, especially when you can find homes for $275,000. Unreal. All right, so finally here we are for the bonus one that smart buyers are considering and nobody's talking about, or maybe you have heard of it before, but we are talking about Manor, Texas. Now, where the hell is Manor, Texas? So we're only 12 to 15 miles from downtown Austin. So this is actually the closest suburb to downtown Austin, and we're just northeast of downtown. All you have to do is just take 290 and it'll take you pretty much straight to downtown, 290 to I-35. But why am I bringing this suburb as probably the best value to you guys looking to buy a home in the Austin area? Number one, the median home price is right around $330,000. So we have come down quite a bit, from Round Rock being 420, Georgetown being 420, Cedar Park being 600, Leander being right around 400, and then Pflugerville, the last one that I mentioned, right around the high 300. So we have come down quite a bit. So number one being affordability, number two being proximity to downtown Austin. But then number three is the fact that it is finally seeing growth. It is finally seeing expansion. Why? This may not seem like a big deal to you guys because it's like, well, Julio, it's just a grocery store. But it's the H-E-B effect, just like the Costco effect. Once H-E-B comes to an area, it's gonna attract other businesses, right? It's like, okay, we're finally on the map. So yes, H-E-B is finally in Manor. It's being built as we speak. There's also a Home Depot. It's also gonna have a TJ Maxx and all those other retail store, value add stores. It has a Chick-fil-A now. So yes, they're the big box retail stores, but that is huge news for Manor. And the fact that it's so close to downtown Austin, it's only gonna make it more and more attractive. And in fact, when you're looking at a map, especially if you take the toll road, you come out of Manor and you go straight south, 130, the toll road, you'll be at the Tesla Gigafactory within 12 to 15 minutes, tops. Now, okay, Julio, that sounds great. Those are some of the pros, the positives. It's super affordable, proximity. It is growing a ton, so there's a lot of upside, but what are the cons? What are some of the negatives? It cannot be too good to be true, right? Well, number one is the school districts. So according to the rankings, according to texasschools.gov and itch.com, the school rankings are a C. Okay, and majority of the schools, when I was doing the research for this, they were actually, yes, ranked a C. Now, hopefully that continues to improve as more and more people move to the area, but that is definitely something that you need to keep in mind, especially if you have little ones. If you don't, then obviously you don't have to worry about it. In fact, I have a family, young family, that moved from the Seattle area. They don't have any plans on having kids, and they love Manor. They were coming from Seattle. They were just concerned about everything that, especially during the pandemic, all the changes that were happening in Seattle. And when they came to Manor, they were like, Julio, this is awesome. You know, I have a ton more space. I feel like I'm out in the country, but I'm not at the same time because I have easy access to downtown Austin. We love it out here. And then the price, unreal. Then I had another young family that found me here on YouTube. These people found me here on YouTube last year, and they were coming from California. And they were like, hey, Julio, we don't think we're gonna be able to afford a house over there. And they were able to find an amazing deal towards the end of the year, last year. If this is you, if you wanna be in your brand new home before Christmas of this year, the deals that are going on, guys, are unreal. All your closing costs paid. Rates, fixed rates, 30 years, no variable stuff, fixed rates under 5%, sometimes even under 4%. And the pricing, again, the pricing in the low $300,000, okay? Something to keep in mind, again, some of the cons, let's say the negatives with Manor, is that the tax rates tend to be a little bit higher than the other suburbs that I mentioned, like Round Rock, Cedar Park, right? So you're gonna be more in the, you know, anywhere from 2.3% to maybe 2.7, 2.8%. Okay, so that is something to keep in mind and something to take into account into your numbers. But I have helped a lot of families move into the suburbs, especially when they're looking for their first home. And of course, it's because of the pricing, right? Another negative or another con is, this is definitely the most obvious one, especially when you visit Manor, is the lack of infrastructure, right? The growing pains that comes with a small suburb that is expanding very quickly, where it has a ton of new construction, and now bringing that HEB into the area, it's gonna make it grow even faster. So what I'm trying to get at is that 290, right, which is the main artery to get in and out of Manor, is pretty congested, especially during the rush hour. It's essentially the only way in and out for the most part. You can take the back roads, but I'll be honest, guys, the back roads suck around this area. So along 290, there tends to form a lot of traffic, okay? 290 can take you all the way to Houston, and then obviously it takes you into Austin, but it gets very, very congested. It's just a reality of living there. Now, I know that the city is already planning on adding ways to get in and out north and south that can connect either to 130 or could connect potentially all the way to I-35, but the city definitely needs it. So I would say that's another con of living here. Another thing is there's not a whole lot of amenities, like I mentioned at the beginning. Of course, now you have the HEB and things like that, but in order to find attractions, so to speak, you have to go to Austin, right? But the good news is that you're only 12 to 15 miles from downtown Austin. So as a whole, this is definitely a strong choice to consider when it comes to the best value around, in a lot of people's opinion, not just my opinion, because of the ongoing growth, the pricing of the houses just being in the low 300,000. But you have to keep in mind, what is the risk, so to speak, is that it has lower ranking school districts, not a whole lot of infrastructure, and not a whole lot of things to do, but the upside might be really great. Now, really quickly, one of the things to mention with Manor is that it has also been affected by the volatility and pricing and value that we have seen. Why is that? When you compare it to something like a place like Round Rock, is that the pricing can go up and down a lot higher. Why? Because it's not as established as a Round Rock is, right? Where there's definitely price stability, job stability, and amenities and those kinds of things. So that is also another thing to keep in mind with Manor, especially with new construction. You know, especially if demand comes back really quickly, prices can shoot up and then they can also come down. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. But yeah, guys, I definitely think that these are the top 5 suburbs around the entire Austin area, of course, that everybody's talking about. But Manor, it may be on your radar, it may not be, but maybe after watching this video, this is definitely something that you should consider moving to because of affordability alone. And as we know, affordability has definitely decreased all around the country. So this could definitely be an option for you and the family. I hope you really enjoy the video, guys. Until next time, adios.